Ladies and gentlemen, Pan-Africanists, imagine a country rich in gold, fertile in land, full of hardworking people. Yet for decades, its wealth flowed out while its people struggled. Now, imagine a leader stepping forward saying, "No more." This is the story of Burkina Faso under Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Like many African countries, Burkina Faso not only suffered during the era of the slave trade, but even after. France, through the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization, conditioned former colonies to continued suffering, keeping 85% of their national reserves in France, printing their money, and securing the first right of refusal for all mineral resources discovered and yet to be discovered, as well as all public and private sector contracts. This prolonged slavery and robbery of Francophone countries ensured African resources powered the French economy while African people languished in poverty, labeled with derogatory terms like ignorant, sick, and poor. They ensured darkness while their own uranium lit the streets of Paris. But how could Africa just look on at the rape and bullying of the motherland? The colonial masters relied on a silent weapon, using puppets and traitors to identify and neutralize any African leader who dared open the eyes of the African people. They instituted a fake education system that taught Africans European history, denying them the right to know their own. But on October 30th, 2022, this all changed. A young, charismatic, and fearless warrior roared across the Sahara, breaking ties and refusing to be used as a puppet against his own people. Trousers are shaking, and the wind carries veils off the heads of the political elite across Europe. In just a few years, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has dismantled the system that enabled the systematic robbery of the continent. Now, Europe fears him more than a baboon fears a storm. They have tried to assassinate him, not once, not twice, but more than 20 times. In this video, we show you the specific projects he has undertaken that make France, America, and other Western colonial powers shiver. But before we continue, we wish to remind you, we are building the biggest ever social media platform dedicated to the Pan-African movement, launching before the end of this year. We need your support. If you feel convinced, go to our channel details and use the PayPal link to donate toward this cause. Every penny raised goes a long way toward the development of that platform. Now let's continue. Number 1, the gold refinery, from exploitation to empowerment. For years, Burkina Faso's gold was dug from its soil, shipped away raw, and sold back as expensive jewelry. The profits? Stolen. The jobs? None. But Traoré asked, "Why can't we refine our own gold?" Now, for the first time, Burkinabe hands are turning their gold into finished products. No more middlemen, no more exploitation, just pure value, staying right where it belongs. No wonder the AFRICOM commander, General Langley, openly and falsely accused Captain Ibrahim Traoré of using the gold to keep himself in power. The shockwave of pain sent across the nerves of the colonial masters is immeasurable, as the funds raised from domestic gold processing allow Burkina Faso to break free from debts that have long been used as a leash around the waist of a domesticated monkey. The country now pays for its weapons and infrastructure development in cash while empowering local artisans and creating jobs for refinery workers. This refinery isn't just about money, it's about dignity. Number 2, Air Burkina, taking back the skies. Think about it this way. You board a flight in West Africa. The airline? French. The profits? European. For too long, Africa's skies belonged to everyone except Africans. But Traoré saw a different future. A revived national airline, modern airports, and pilots, engineers, and flight attendants. All Burkinabe. This isn't just about travel. It's about reclaiming our place in the world, and he is doing this within weeks, months, and years, putting the puppets and traitors used by colonial masters for decades to broad daylight shame. The result? Africans have awakened from the slumber they were intentionally put into. They now know it's possible. They now ask, if Traoré can do it, why not Ghana? Why not Nigeria? Why not South Africa? Why not Uganda? And the more this sense of belonging and self-determination spreads like wildfire, the more European economies begin to shrink. Number 3. Cotton factories. From farmers to fashion kings. Here's the painful truth. Burkina Faso grows some of the world's best cotton. But instead of making clothes, they sold it cheap, only to buy back finished t-shirts at 10 times the price. Now Traoré's factories are changing the game. Farmers earn more. Tailors stitch local designs. And for the first time, "Made in Burkina Faso" isn't just a slogan. It's a reality. The government of Captain Ibrahim Traoré banned the wearing of suits for officials, mandating instead the African kitenge fashions locally made in Burkina Faso. This is not only sowing seeds of pride among the population, but redefining African freedom. Look at it this way. Why should judges and speakers of legislative assemblies continue to wear something resembling sheep tails on their heads while presiding? What does it even mean? Traoré is saying, "Enough of your dictation. We shall choose what is best for us." And the colonial masters realize their lost relevance. Number 4. Nuclear power, lighting up the future. How do you build factories, schools, and hospitals without electricity? For years, Burkina Faso begged for power. Now, they're creating it, on their own terms. For years, Burkina Faso's uranium powered the streets and warmed the houses in Paris, while back in the motherland, millions languished in darkness. Determined like a lion of the jungle, Traoré said, "Enough. No more shall my people be in darkness while thieves elsewhere enjoy the benefits of our uranium." On October 13, 2023, Burkina Faso partnered with Russia to develop a nuclear power plant. The Memorandum of Understanding was signed with Rosatom, a Russian state nuclear company. This partnership is part of Burkina Faso's goal to increase electricity access, targeting 95% in urban areas and 50% in rural areas by 2030. A $4 billion nuclear project, the first in West Africa. Critics said, "Impossible." But Traoré replied, "Watch us." Because true independence starts with energy. In addition, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has completed the Semendini hydroelectric dam, donated generators, and launched several solar plants, adding thousands of megawatts to the national grid. Power means more industrial development, more jobs, more innovation, and more independence. Number 5. The satellite. Reaching for the stars. Some laughed when Burkina Faso announced its space program. A poor African country launching satellites? But Traoré knows the future belongs to those who dare. This satellite isn't just for prestige. It's for monitoring crops, protecting borders, and guiding farmers. Because in the 21st century, sovereignty isn't just on the ground, it's in the skies. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is daring the colonial masters, reawakening the spirits of the ancestors, and proving to the world that Africa can thrive without their interference. For long, we have been forced to rely on the West for technological insights. But Traoré says no. We will go to the skies ourselves. Number 6. Food security. There is no doubt, Africa has the most fertile land across the globe. Israel, for example, imported fertile soil from Uganda to transform vast deserts into farmland. Yet for decades, colonial masters have used food handouts as a tool for control. As a continent, we have never had a food reserve. Why? The West knew that if we had vast food reserves, controlling us would be difficult. They taught us to abandon agriculture and roam the streets in search of white-collar jobs. They taught us to hate the very process that feeds us. But with the emergence of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, this all changed. In 2023, during the Russia-Africa summit, he challenged the old puppets to recognize that self-sufficiency begins with food security. Unlike other African puppets who talk and talk and talk, Traoré is a man of action. Upon returning from St. Petersburg, he launched an agricultural mechanization campaign, procuring dozens of tractors, quality seeds, and fertilizers, and making them available to farmers at subsidized prices. Irrigation was prioritized, transforming deserts into farmland. Youth farming training centers were established, helping young Burkinabé appreciate the value of farming. And above all, agro-processing industries were set up across the country, ensuring a ready market and value addition for agricultural products. Why shouldn't the colonial masters be worried? Number 7. The banking sector. For decades, Burkina Faso, like other former French colonies, deposited 85% of its national reserves with the French central bank in Paris, under the supervision of the French finance minister. The French invested these deposits in their own stock market, while African countries had no say, only to be called poor beggars. But Captain Ibrahim Traoré said, "Enough of this madness." He established the Central Bank of Burkina Faso and revitalized the Post Bank of Burkina Faso. These institutions ensure national wealth stays at home and funding is available for domestic investment. And that's not all. Traoré is fast-tracking the creation of a common currency for the Alliance of Sahel States, a bold move toward economic freedom, breaking free from the CFA franc, which France has used as a tool of economic enslavement for decades. Number 8. Education. For too long, colonial masters dictated to Africans what education meant and how it should be conducted. They ensured Africans relied on European languages as the medium of instruction and controlled what Africans learned. The result? Africa ended up with bragging, empty-pocket elites, jobless and confused. Captain Traoré said, "Enough of this." First, he declared education free for every Burkinabe child. Then, he reformed the system to produce result-oriented graduates. His government promotes skill-based education over the "daddy is better than mummy" debates taught by the French, British, and Germans. One major aspect of enslavement in education was the use of foreign languages as the medium of instruction, later embedded as national languages. Captain Ibrahim Traoré asked, "How can French be a national language in an African country with its own native tongues?" He banned French as a national language, reducing it to a mere business language. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is making education serve Africa's needs. Number 9. Better health for every Burkinabe. First, Captain Ibrahim Traoré knows independence begins with a healthy population. But that's not all. For decades, colonial powers described Africa as a continent of disease, while pretending to provide relief health care, vaccinations, family planning, and HIV/AIDS support, funded by stolen minerals and foreign military bases used as tools of continued colonization. Captain Ibrahim Traoré said, "Enough." He has invested heavily in healthcare, building state-of-the-art hospitals, renovating community health centers, and launching mobile clinics to ensure every Burkinabe has access to decent care. And recently, the kicker. He declared free maternity services for all mothers in Burkina Faso. But just a second. If you're enjoying this content, please don't forget to share, like, and comment. Help us spread the good news about the new Africa rising. Now let's continue with perhaps the deadliest project. The colonial masters fear more than COVID-19. A united Africa. When colonial masters withdrew from Africa, they pretended to grant independence, yet only changed tactics. To ensure continued colonization, they drew imaginary lines called borders, setting the stage for division, hatred, and conflict. This was no accident. They knew a united Africa would be undefeatable. Additionally, they divided Africans along religious lines, brainwashing them to hate each other in the name of God. But guess what? Captain Ibrahim Traoré said, "We know the trick." He is uniting not only Burkina Faso, but the Sahel Alliance, West Africa, and the entire continent. He has opened borders for all black people to enter Burkina Faso freely. He has offered all blacks in the diaspora free citizenship if they wish to settle there. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is bringing the Sahel region together under the Alliance of Sahel States, strengthening ties with Senegal, Togo, and Morocco. Interestingly, Chad has recently applied to join. On religion, Traoré knows it's a trap. He recently rejected an offer from the Saudi prince to build 200 mosques, instead asking for hospitals and schools. Why should mosques, which only benefit Muslims, be prioritized? He asked, even though he is Muslim himself. His government has introduced laws strictly prohibiting divisions along religious lines. What's more exceptional is that he has achieved these changes in just a few years, while other puppets still talk about African unity in their bathrooms. Captain Ibrahim Traoré doesn't just speak, he executes. Here at Daily Post Africa, we implore you to visit Burkina Faso. Feel the love of its people and the honesty that defines them. This is the untold story of Burkina Faso, not a nation begging for aid, but a people building their destiny. And at the heart of it all, a soldier, a patriot, a visionary, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. The road ahead won't be easy. Foreign powers will resist, doubters will scoff. But one thing is clear, Burkina Faso is no longer asleep. It is rising, and the world will remember its name. What do you think? Can Traoré's vision inspire a continent? Comment below. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, share, and tag a friend. If you're new, subscribe so YouTube notifies you when we upload. Also, watch for our Pan-Africanist social media platform. If you wish to contribute, go to the channel details and donate via PayPal. Until we meet again, may the ancestors of Africa bless you all.